Let's now quickly take a look at the numbers from Tamil Nadu. We'll put Tamil Nadu on your screen right now as to what exactly is happening. Another state where IPAC, Prashant Kishore's organization, helped propel the DMK to a victory position. So the DMK combine is at 140. Remember, this is a 234-member assembly. The ADMK, which is, of course, they were the incumbent, are at 92. The DMK plus at well over 140, with the Congress having a lead in 17, which is a very significant win given the fact that they only were given 25 seats. So that's a victory for the DMK. However, for the ADMK, the incumbents, this is not a rout. This is not a bad performance. They will make for a formidable opposition, thus laying to rest all sorts of speculation that post Jayalalitha, the ADMK flock will not be together and will struggle as a political force. That's really not the case if you take a look at the numbers. Uma Sudhir as well as Sam Daniel are now with us. Uma, let me first come to you. Would you like to take this question as to, a lot was said about the fortunes of the AIADMK, that they will cease to exist or break or not exist. There will be a whole lot of problem. That doesn't seem to be the case when you look at these numbers. However, they have not won, but they're still a formidable force.
Yes, indeed, Sanket. Starting with Prashant Kishore, in fact, this is an election that MK Stalin had to win, given all the factors that were, in a sense, in his favor. And this was an election he could not have lost in any case. That they ended up with 140, certainly creditable. But more importantly, like you pointed out, that the AIADMK ended up with 80 plus or will be ending up with an 80 plus is something very creditable. And all the talk about the AIADMK is probably going to now just fritter away and there will be no party left. EPS, despite not having the charisma of Jayalalitha or an MGR, he has shown that he is a leader who can deliver, and that's the reason why from the Kongu belt, from where in fact he is headed for a very impressive victory, I must say, from Edappadi itself. The Chief Minister has managed to also get the northern belt, and that's how they are ending up with these kind of numbers, the western belt and the northern belt, where in fact, if you remember, the master stroke of including the one-year community, giving them an internal quota of 10.5% within the MBC quota of 20%, and people had predicted that there will be a reverse consolidation of the other castes and so on and so forth, but his calculation seems to have worked well, and that's the reason why the one-year, both the Patali Makkal Katchi, which is a one-year party, as well as the AIADMK per se as the plus, is doing well in both these regions and managed to get that 80 plus, which means with the AMMK, with TTV Dinakaran not doing well, already EPS has shut the doors on Sasikala, and despite that, he's managed to do well and do a creditable performance despite having all these factors of an anti-incumbency one, of what was seen as a burden of going with the BJP, the perception being that the BJP is not a very popular party in Tamil Nadu, and the fact that there was so much of infighting within the party, and that the AIADMK vote itself was split in Tamil Nadu, with the AMMK taking away a lot of Tevar vote, it was thought. From the DMK side, of course, they have swept the Chennai region. They have done very well in the Delta region, which is the central region, and the southern region as well. In the Chennai region, I must point out that they are in fact getting out of the Chennai, Tiruvallur, Kanchipuram, out of 37 seats, they are getting 33, which is very good. And out of only 4 seats for the ADMK, DMK is getting again in the southern region, out of 51 seats, they are getting 35. That was considered, South was again considered a stronghold of the ADMK. And the third part, of course, the Delta and central region, the anger of the farmers also perhaps showing up in the out of the 44 seats in the Delta region, 34 going to the DMK. The BJP, which was seen as, which is in fact a junior partner, but was seen as a party that was sitting in the driver's seat. It had contested about 20 seats, and it seems to be doing reasonably well in 4 or 5, which is not bad for a party which did not have too much of a footprint in Tamil Nadu at all. And as you mentioned, The Congress, in fact, unlike elsewhere, the story of the Congress in Tamil Nadu seems to be pretty decent, that out of the 25 seats, they are leading at least in 17, and also won the Kanyakumari. They seem to be heading towards a big victory. The Lok Sabha bipole that happened because of the death of the of Mr. Vasant Kumar, the father, and now the son had contested the same seat, and they are looking to get the Kanyakumari seat. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one other point, Sanket, the other, we were calling this a five-cornered contest, and this is nowhere a five-cornered contest as we are seeing. As always, the Dravidian parties remain the lead players here. National Party is very, very marginal. And the three new players, whether you call it the AMMK, the Nam Tamilar Katchi, not a new party, but someone who contested all 234 seats.
Absolutely.
And the MNM, Makkal Needhi Mayyam, which had come as a new hope, perhaps only managing to hold on to the seat that the leader, Mr. Kamal Hassan, contested in Coimbatore South. Even there, that is seeming like quite a tough fight there as well. But yes, only holding on to that one seat, and therefore it's only the Dravidian parties which continue to alternate power.
Correct. Sam is also with us. Sam, let's talk about the victors, the DMK. What was their internal projection on how much they are going to get? Because this does seem to be a victory, but at the same time not as big or as convincing as one would think it to be, because you've got the ADMK, which has largely been able to control its losses, right? It's not like they've suddenly been swept out of power. Yes, they will not lead in Tamil Nadu, but they will make for a formidable opponent, a formidable opposition. What was the DMK's calculation?
Well, Sanket, the DMK was hopeful of getting around 180 plus seats, and even now as we speak, some leaders say still many rounds are yet to be completed, and in some constituencies where they believe they could have some clusters, they expect a turnaround which could improve the tally. That is their belief. But for two reasons they wanted a big number. One, this is the first state election after Karunanidhi, the founder of DMK, died, and this election was also seen to be a kind of a poll that will catapult Stalin to be a very popular leader after the loss of both iconic leaders, Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi. For that, they wanted a big victory, not just enough to form a government, but to win it big. In that sense, it's a disappointment, although the DMK at the moment would certainly form the government. We'll have to wait and watch how the tally changes in the rest of the day. And certainly they say that Stalin anyway has now emerged to be a very popular leader with a clear mandate, and someone who also led the party to a huge victory after Karunanidhi died in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, in which the DMK Congress alliance swept the polls, and they were hoping for a repeat of that. Of course, the AIADMK has lost, but it's still a formidable force. In one sense, many compare it to the outcome of the 2016 elections, switching sides. At that time, the DMK had emerged a strong opposition party with 98 seats in its kitty, with Congress in its alliance. And on those lines, the AIADMK has now emerged, maybe a few seats less this time. But it will be interesting to see who would be now the leader of opposition, because there is always a tussle between Chief Minister EPS and his deputy OPS. Now that the party has lost, well, OPS, who is the number one in the party in that sense, as the chief coordinator, would he want to become the opposition leader, which would mean that he is the chief minister and waiting for the other elections, maybe 5 years down the line. That's something we'll have to wait and watch. But otherwise, certainly, BJP is quite happy since they have won around 4 to 5 seats. At the moment, they are set to win around 4 to 5 seats in a state where they were completely rejected a couple of years ago, where people always claimed that the BJP cannot have a kind of a presence here. In that sense, BJP is quite happy. Dinakaran, again, although he was believed to be splitting AIADMK's votes, he himself has not been able to win. Kamal Hassan's party, which again was very hopeful of making a dent in the absence of both Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha, at the moment it looks like only Kamal Hassan would be able to win. Nobody else has been able to win any respectable numbers at the moment. And I'm at the DMK headquarters where party sources say the formation of the next government could be as early as Wednesday, depending on how soon the EPS government will put in their papers. Although we had celebrations here a couple of hours ago, including bursting of crackers and distribution of sweets, police very soon came in and they made sure they comply with the Election Commission's norm and they chased away people. MK Stalin also issued a statement asking people not to really come and aid spread of the disease, and he wanted them to respect.
But these assurances don't seem to work on supporters who are simply extremely enthusiastic when their party wins. Thank you very much, Sam Daniel, as well as Uma Sudhir.